Good evening. Tonight, we turn our attention to a crisis that continues to grip the world, a conflict whose human cost grows with each passing day, the escalating situation in Gaza. For months, the world has watched as a humanitarian catastrophe unfolds, marked by relentless military action, mass displacement, and a deepening sense of despair. But recent developments suggest this crisis is not only intensifying on the ground but also sending ripples across the delicate fabric of international diplomacy, threatening to unravel alliances and reshape the geopolitical landscape. We will delve into the latest reports from the ground, examine the military strategies and their devastating impact on civilians, and analyze the complex web of international reactions, including a recent highly controversial strike that has sent shockwaves through the Gulf. This is not just a regional conflict. It is a profound test of international law, human empathy, and the very notion of global stability. The numbers paint a grim picture, one that humanitarian organizations struggle daily to comprehend and address. According to the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, or OCHA, the Gaza Strip remains a zone of unimaginable suffering. As of early September 2025, the toll on civilian lives is staggering. Between August 27th and September 3rd alone, 571 Palestinians were killed and over 2,300 injured. Since October 7th, 2023, the total reported casualties stand at over 63,700 fatalities and more than 161,000 injuries. These figures, primarily from Gaza's Hamas-run Ministry of Health, are considered the most reliable available by the United Nations, despite challenges to their accuracy by Israel. The impact extends far beyond direct casualties. The continuous bombardment from air, land, and sea has led to widespread destruction and successive waves of displacement. In just 1 week, from August 27th to 31st, 83% of displacement movements were recorded from Gaza City, as residents desperately sought safety. Since March 18th, over 856,000 displacement movements have been recorded across the Gaza Strip, often involving individuals displaced multiple times. Life in displacement sites is described as deplorable. Famine is a growing threat, with reports indicating that 44,000 children have been admitted for acute malnutrition treatment since January. The International Committee of the Red Cross has warned that a mass evacuation of Gaza City, as ordered by the Israeli military, cannot be conducted safely or with dignity under the current conditions. Education, a cornerstone of any society, has been shattered. Over 700,000 children are being deprived of their right to schooling, with more than 658,000 having already lost 2 academic years. The systematic destruction of infrastructure, including schools, residential buildings, and health facilities, exacerbates an already dire situation. Even those attempting to access aid face extreme danger, with over 2,300 fatalities and 17,000 injuries reported among individuals seeking assistance since late May 2025. The humanitarian aid efforts themselves are fraught with peril, facing significant delays and impediments from Israeli authorities, making the delivery of essential supplies a constant struggle. The military dimension of the conflict is equally complex and contentious. Israel's stated objectives are clear: to dismantle Hamas and secure the release of all hostages taken during the October 7th attacks. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has consistently defended the operation as a just war and asserted Israel's unwavering commitment to international law. However, the scale of destruction and the immense civilian death toll have ignited a fierce debate globally, particularly concerning the principle of proportionality in warfare. International law, as outlined in the UN Charter and Geneva Conventions, mandates that the effects of military actions must not be disproportionate to the military advantage sought. This principle applies both to the overall military response and to individual strikes. Intentionally harming civilians is unequivocally a war crime. While international law acknowledges that civilian casualties can occur in conflict, there is an absolute obligation to minimize such harm. Yet, many international legal experts and human rights organizations argue that Israel's actions have been disproportionate. As Ross Atkins of BBC News reported, The vast majority of experts consulted by BBC Verify struggle to see how Israel's military conduct could be characterized as proportionate. Professors from Oxford, King's College London, and Hebrew University of Jerusalem have all voiced concerns, with one stating that it is undisputable that the use of force in Gaza has been disproportionate. Israel counters these claims by asserting that Hamas deliberately operates within civilian areas, using tunnels beneath hospitals and schools as military infrastructure, thereby putting civilians at risk. They argue that this tactic complicates military operations and shifts responsibility for civilian casualties. However, critics contend that even if Hamas uses such tactics, it does not absolve Israel of its obligations under international law to protect civilians and ensure proportionality. The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has starkly summarized the situation, stating that the levels of death and destruction in Gaza are without parallel in recent times. The conflict's repercussions extend far beyond the borders of Gaza, profoundly impacting international relations and diplomatic efforts. The United States, a staunch ally of Israel, finds itself in an increasingly precarious position. While providing significant political and material support, the U.S. has also been actively involved in mediating ceasefire proposals, often in coordination with Qatar. However, a recent and highly controversial Israeli strike in Qatar has dramatically complicated these diplomatic efforts. The strike, reportedly triggered by Hamas's rejection of a U.S.-backed all-for-all hostage-for-prisoner exchange proposal, targeted residential buildings in Doha. While reports vary on the extent of U.S. foreknowledge, the Trump administration immediately engaged in damage control, publicly questioning the wisdom of Israel's operation and reaffirming its relationship with Qatar. Israel attacked Doha using non-stealth fighter jets, yet Qatar, with its advanced US-made radar and air defense systems, failed to mount any countermeasures. This clearly demonstrates that Qatar's defenses were remotely controlled. Even with the U.S.'s crisis public relations efforts, its true collusion with Israel is clearly exposed. The implications of this strike are far-reaching. It has severely strained Qatar's trust in its defense relationship with the U.S., raising concerns that Doha might limit U.S. military maneuverability from its Al Udeid air base, a critical hub for American operations in the Middle East. The strike has also provoked a shared sense of outrage across Gulf Cooperation Council (GCC) capitals, potentially freezing existing ties with Israel and jeopardizing future normalization efforts. Many Gulf officials are now questioning the value of their understandings with Washington, especially given Qatar's role in facilitating communication with Hamas at the U.S.'s request. For Israel, the timing of the strike is also a subject of intense speculation. Some analysts suggest it was a response to a recent bus shooting in Jerusalem and the deaths of Israeli soldiers in Gaza. Others believe Prime Minister Netanyahu may have seen it as a way to avoid or delay a ground assault on Gaza City, or to address domestic political pressure regarding his stance on Qatar. Regardless of the immediate motivations, the strike has undoubtedly added another layer of complexity to an already volatile region, further isolating Israel on the international stage and making the path to peace even more arduous. The crisis in Gaza is a multifaceted tragedy, a confluence of humanitarian disaster, military conflict, and diplomatic upheaval. The human cost is immeasurable, the geopolitical stakes are immense, and the path forward remains shrouded in uncertainty. As the world watches, the urgent call for a lasting peace, for the protection of civilians, and for adherence to international law grows louder. The decisions made today, both on the battlefield and in the halls of diplomacy, will undoubtedly shape the future of the Middle East and reverberate across the globe for generations to come. What are your thoughts on the escalating crisis in Gaza? Share your comments below. Thank you for watching.